Well, hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Josh Cantwell, the strategic real estate coach, CEO at strategicrealestatecoach.com, and Freeland Ventures, which is our real estate private equity fund where we lend and partner and do real estate deals all across the country. I want to welcome back to another edition of Strategic Real Estate Coach podcast. And I've got a very, very special guest on with me today. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Mike Johnston from the New Orleans area. And what I wanted to do today was just interview Mike. Mike's a very successful real estate entrepreneur from the New Orleans market. He's been through a tremendous amount in his career. And Mike is our 2016 Real Estate Investor of the Year. He was awarded this award at one of our live events, our Flippin' Fun Summit. And Mike was awarded on stage, big trophy. And also Mike was awarded a car. Mike, I think you're driving a Mercedes-Benz. Is that right?
I am a C450, man. Vroom, vroom.
Nice. Fantastic. And so that was one of Mike's, part of Mike's kind of a gift or award for just doing a bang up job. And so just to frame up Mike real quick, Mike's going to kind of tell us a little bit about what he's up to today, his investing strategies. We're going to ask Mike a little bit about his past and the future, what he sees with his real estate investing, and also some advice that he would give his former self. And to frame this up, Mike has done hundreds and hundreds of real estate deals. He owns apartment buildings. He's done luxury rehabs. And he's also a Hurricane Katrina survivor. And so, Mike Johnston, welcome to the Strategic Real Estate Coach podcast. How are you?
I'm great, man. And I'm glad to always sit and spend some time with you, my friend. I know you always running 150 miles an hour. I'm running a different kind of race. We're all running our race, but it's always great when we can slow down and get a chance to sit and talk.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Yeah, thanks for joining us. I see you're dressed up today. Are you doing this from inside of one of your properties, or where are you at?
I'm actually, I made it home or whatever, because it's, it's one of the places where it's quiet right now, not a whole lot going on or whatever, but I've actually been out meeting today with some city officials here in the New Orleans area, talking about some of the affordable housing problems that our areas are still very much battling. And so our meeting today was with a different group that I've been working with to address the whole affordable housing and what their issues and hurdles are, and see how we can come together and get some more productive things going into the new year. Nice.
That's awesome, Mike. Well, thanks for joining us. I know you're busy putting this together. Mike and I have known each other since the Boca event, which was April of 15, roughly?
15, yeah.
April of 2015. So Mike and I have been friends, and I've been mentoring and coaching Mike for about the last 3.5 years. And Mike came to us kind of rebuilding his business. He owned a rental portfolio, was looking to do some more rehab flips, and really focused on kind of raising private capital. Mike's done an amazing job now of new construction, buying apartment buildings. So Mike, why don't you just give everybody maybe a minute or two about, kind of what you're up to today. Mm-hmm. What's the focus of your real estate investing business right now?
Okay. Well, today I'm quite busy, Josh, doing any number of renovation projects. That's anywhere from low to moderate end to the actual luxury end. I've put my portfolio together where it actually holds a good number of assets, anywhere from luxury, short-term type rentals to your basic fourplexes, doubles, and things that are more residential real estate. Within the past couple of years that you alluded to, I've also brought a couple of apartment buildings into my portfolio to expand that whole income asset class and making that a part of a focus of what I'm doing. So right now it's looking at acquisition of distressed multifamily properties where we can go down and force the appreciation of that asset, reposition it for income, as well as also equity refinance, repositioning of the asset. In addition, to that, we're also looking to move forward with the whole affordable housing model that I just briefly mentioned. because I see, at the very least in the New Orleans area, that some areas are starting to tighten, where the margins are becoming a little thin. And I went into new construction, just to throw that in there. I've done a lot of new construction, some of which you've even recently, funded and gotten behind me on. And I saw, when I was pushed to building a certain level of home, how the class of buyer, that was not as fun as building at a lower level, where people are a bit more appreciative, right? I think that those people have very specific needs and wants and tastes. And so that's why the affordable housing deal, and if we get into it, I'll say a little bit more why affordable housing, if other listeners out there are wondering why that.
Yeah. Sounds like is your focus, Mike, really, it sounds like income. You mentioned a lot of things about building your portfolio, apartment buildings, now affordable housing. If you do continue to build affordable housing, and we have funded a number of your projects from rehab, construction to apartments, but is it all for an income play? Is even the affordable housing for like maybe new construction to rent, or what's the plan there?
Great question, Josh. And, I've done a lot. I will say this. When I first got with you, I wasn't exactly a newbie. I had already done some stuff. I had some experience, so a lot of people out there looking say, well, I'm experienced in real estate. I know some stuff. But one of the things that you were able to do for me is that you challenged always, that whole thought process, right? For me, it wasn't so much about here's how you identify a good deal. I kind of knew how to do that, but it was more how of the whole popping out of the top kind of thing, and putting the systems in place and putting other key people in the organization and leveraging yourself where that individual, myself here, can focus on the things that I need to do and need to do best. So as it relates to the whole affordable housing thing, and one thing I've been looking at, I've been able to step back and look at my business and what the long-term play is for me, right? So I'm doing this affordable housing because I believe that it offers more latitude, more flexibility, and more exit strategies, right? When I got into building more expensive homes, $300,000+ homes, the only exit strategy was to sell that stuff. Yeah, it's one exit strategy, right? And so I tell people now that I'm speaking with and who care to listen to me, that the more exit strategies you have, right? If you're in a house and the house is on fire and you have 3 windows that you can jump out of, that's much better than if you're standing on the 2nd or 3rd floor of a building and there's only one way down, Right. And so it's about exit strategies and options there, right? So in dealing with the affordable home, and if leveraged properly, and I can get into maybe deal structure, might be a thing for a different type of call, I don't know. But I have the option of selling it, although the returns may be a bit more modest, still worth a 3 to 4 month investment of time. But if the asset does not sell, I do have the opportunity of being able to reposition it with permanent financing, 5 to 10 year kind of fixed rate, where I can cash flow off of it as the asset appreciates. I've looked at my entire business and where I'd like to be, right? And so my goal is to build wealth, and then also generational wealth, right? So I've broken it down, Josh, into kind of 3 columns. So we have the one column where, flipping fund or flipping the properties definitely fits into that, and you're making money there, right? But there's also a different strategy, where there's basically appreciation and equity build. There are people in California that will invest in single family homes knowing that they're not going to really cash flow off of it. Their best play is to really go down and just break even or manage maybe negative cash flow on it. But they also know that historically, because that asset is appreciated 5 to 6% historically, that the play is hold on to it, and 5 years later, that $500,000 asset becomes $700,000, right? So that's one strategy. And then, of course, there's always the income property. So to tie it all up and put it together, my strategy would be to, in the whole affordable housing model, one, be able to sell it so you get that little pop. If it doesn't sell, be able to make certain that that investment is in an appreciating market where I can get the appreciation or equity play. But because I am in New Orleans, I still can cash flow off of it and then take those monies, and as they become liquid, pop them into the actual income producing assets, such as the apartment buildings and other investments of the sort.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. I was, the market's just been crazy for the past 5 years. A friend of mine, Brandon, who lives in Charlotte, he actually lives on, I think it's the 12th fairway of Trump National Golf Course, and I've golfed there. He bought a property in Charlotte for $65,000 a couple years ago, did some improvements, rented it out. Just threw it on the market last week for $225 and got a full price offer in one day.
Unbelievable.
So, he's done the same thing, built, a really nice portfolio. He's actually going to exit his single family portfolio to focus more on commercial and apartment buildings, much like, you and I have talked about in the past. So good stuff, Mike. So let me ask you, if you think about the success that you've had, and you've had a lot of success in the last couple of years, is there one or two things that you can kind of point your finger on that says, these are a couple of specific reasons for my success recently? Anything stand out?
Well, I've been fortunate to have pretty much a good appreciation for what costs of doing a project are going to be. I would say that I'm cautiously aggressive, right? Meaning I take the time to really know my numbers, really become intimate with them, and create these scenarios of what could go wrong, right? One thing that I more recently have been telling people, if you structure a deal to where you manage the downside, then the upside will take care of itself. Right. And I find that too many people, right, as far as their focus, we as investors, right, what gets us all kind of going, right? Man, I can buy this house for 50 and, I'll put another 50 in it and, and I'll sell it for 170, whatever. But then all of a sudden, when they find out that the rehab budget is really more like 65, or they didn't build in something, or they let the contractor get ahead on them when they didn't do something right, they never planned for the downside, the what if that doesn't happen kind of thing. And that's because as investors, Josh, I find that we're focused on looking at returns. We're looking at what we can make, right? Whereas through the lens of a financier, that, you have to consider looking at risk first. And where I've more recently, in my more mature Michael self, I learned to look at risk first. And if you look at risk first and you can cover what that worst case scenario is, not only can you make the deal safer, but you can deliver the message when you're raising private money. Listen, you enter into this agreement with me, this relationship here on this project. Your interests are now above mine, and here's why you're safer investing with me as opposed to John Q investor down the street or whatever. So again, I would say putting risk first and knowing your downside. And if you got a plan for covering that downside, hey man, let the upside take care of itself.
Yeah. Spoken like a true banker. Like you'd be in my seat.
That's right. That's right.
Lending money. Maybe you probably are, but that's great, man. No, that's a very mature response. A lot of people are like, oh, I got this deal and I could, buy it for X and put in Y and it's going to sell for Z. And I said, well, what if it doesn't sell?
That's right.
And you can't answer that question. There's no plan B, plan C, plan D. So I love the affordable housing play because, you could sell on, just sell outright. You could sell on terms, sell on rent to own. You could just flat out rent it out. There's a lot of different options there. You can wholesale it to a turnkey investor.
Yep.
There's a lot of options there. It's a lot of options. That's great.
That's right.
So, Mike, obviously you've learned a lot. The market's been great, but you've been through good times and bad. So just give our audience a little bit of a flavor of kind of when did you catch the real estate bug? Like when did you really get interested in this business? And how did you get interested? Did you think like, Was it passive cash flow? Was it the upside of real estate that you were excited about? Or was it like maybe the pain of a current situation or a current job that you were unsatisfied with? What led you to real estate at the beginning?
Well, I'll tell you, Josh, I've always kind of had an interest in real estate by education. For those who don't know my whole history and past, by education, I'm actually come from the healthcare world, right? I'm a physical therapist. And so, as far as the whole ups and downs of my life, and I know a lot of people that, you coach and mentor and just, out there, that may be listening to this, we all have our problems, right? Our ups and downs and struggles that we go through. So for me, I'm on my second marriage. I wound up divorcing. And what happened is, when I split and was a single father for a number of years and everything, just to put it plainly, man, cash was tight. Things were really, really thin. I mean, I made good money. I had a 6-figure income, but 3 children paying for tuitions and all that stuff here, man. Let me tell you, it was
kids.
That's right. Every now and then there was like, they see something on the table, final notice, past due, right? Yeah. Just trying to get to that finish line, man, And so for me, I was not able to really save any significant money and put in a couple $100 each paycheck into the 401k. I did the math. That wasn't going to work. And so because my father comes from construction and I was around it and I knew I didn't need to be very well on the hammer and nail side of it, he told me, son, stay in school. I'm like, okay, I'll do that, So, but I saw fit to learn the numbers. And I think I always knew that real estate was a tried and true way of being able to make up for lost ground or produce wealth or whatever. We know what the percentages are and how many people have become millionaires and done well for themselves through real estate. So I'm like, that's going to be my ticket. And so for me, because I still had my W-2 income working for me, that was my security blanket, right? Yeah. That cast me on the path of being able to start doing the real estate redevelopments in my area on the heels of Hurricane Katrina. I am, like you said, a survivor of it. And not just, he was around it. No, I was in the middle of it. I lost my home. I lost everything. Wow. Zero, nothing. And so I was knocked flat on my back. And I had to find a way to try and kind of crawl and pull myself up out of the hole. And I began doing that, with real estate. And so I did it for the income producing side. That was going to be part of my retirement plan. That was what was going to set me free. And then when I got to a certain point, I'm like, and really ran across, our paths crossed. It became more of a case where I'm like, okay, how can I get away from my job? Because I'd gotten to the point now where 20 plus years in real estate, 20 plus years in healthcare, all the good that I had done for people, it wasn't my passion anymore. Right, and so I no longer looked at real estate as just an economic way of securing my future, but it also was really my passion. I liked being able to put people in quality homes and housing and taking the city that was full of blight and physically distressed properties and giving it a whole new, facelift or whatever. So that's what got me going. And then just being a part of real estate I just began to kind of grow up, within it itself and then learn what all the possibilities, could be. And so I love it, man. I is who I am. And I love the relationships, man. Just, type of relationship that we've established and a number of people that I've met, through it or whatever. So it is who I am. It's what I do, but it's also my passion.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Mike and I have spent a lot of time together the last 3.5 years. Just this past summer, actually, at a mastermind out in Cleveland, and we took a bunch of the guys up to Cedar Point. And if you haven't been to Cedar Point, it's literally the world's best roller coaster park. It's got like 3 or 4 of the top roller coasters in the world in this one amusement park. And then a brand new one that just came out this summer called Steel Vengeance. We waited 2 hours and probably had one of the funnest masterminds ever. Me, you, Cheryl, just 2 hours waiting in line, talking shop, talking real estate. Then we went on that kick butt roller coaster, man. It was unbelievable. And what a fun day. Yeah, it's all about relationships, man, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. I mean, everyone's growing their income, growing their assets, growing their net worth, and it's the people that you really remember, right? That's really the stories that you tell.
Absolutely.
So Mike, like now that you've kind of grown up in the business and you're pretty established, and beautiful portfolio, family, you kind of, a lot of people would say, Mike's really, really doing well. He's kind of got the world, in the palm of his hand. It probably feels really good. And you're, like you said, conservatively aggressive. I think it's a great approach. What do you see your future look like? Like what are your big, hairy goals for the next, 3 to 5 to 10 years? Like where are you trying to take your real estate? You talked about legacy wealth. Just expand on that a little bit.
Sure. No, I want to, my big, hairy, audacious goals basically are, to continue, bringing into my portfolio the really solid income producing assets. I want to really, Josh, be placed into a position where I can begin to give back, right? And here's the thing I'm going to just speak to so that people can hear and understand what I'm saying, right? We're always kind of chasing, or a lot of people are, I should say, chasing a certain dollar amount, or if I have a certain amount of money or whatever, and Josh, I know you can speak already to it or whatever, there is really no amount of money that's ever going to just make you happy, right? So for me, the goal is to have a certain amount of money that will afford me a certain level of security, freedom to live the type of life that I would like to for, me and my family. But basically to put me in a position where I can, again, continue to pursue my passions. And that's important, because if you are in a position where the mortgage is paid, the lights aren't going to get cut off, and you have enough money coming in, man, to where if you never even made another dollar, hey, man, you're going to be fine, right? You're by definition, you're wealthy. You got way more money coming in than what your overhead it costs to survive, even living and taking the vacations each year. If all that is checked, then at that point, if that's all you got left, and you hit that at age 50 or whatever that age is, then what else are you doing, right? What are you doing with yourself? And so my whole thing is to be able to give back. I want to be able to teach people about the power of finance. What I find, Josh, is that people don't understand finance the way that they should. And because they don't, they make bad decisions. And what we know is that when we make bad decisions, we become a servant and a slave to those bad decisions, specifically financial, because making a bad decision takes us a hell of a long time to get out of, and some people never quite really come out of it. So if I can help educate people as to how to make finance work for them, as opposed to how it's set up to work against them, then that's something I feel good about. I'm making a difference. And if those people can go on and pass that message to other people, man, this world, the economy, everything, it just would be a better place or whatever, man. So that's part of it for me, whatever like that. So we don't achieve that level of wealth to where I feel good, I feel secure, I have a certain lifestyle for my family and myself, but also, I guess what I'm saying, have a mindset that's a little bit more philanthropic in nature. Yeah.
That's fantastic, Mike. Great, man. I love where your head's at. Just keep it, because you look, man, when you get to the point where you got your income coming in, it's paying all the bills, like you said, the mortgage, the lights, and you got the fun to do the fun things. And it's like, well, what if I just added one 50-unit apartment building a year, and I really didn't have to do a lot of other work, or 100-unit, 200-unit building a year, or we just work on that building for that year. And then you're to the point where you're doing just bigger stuff, less of it, very conservative, making good decisions to say, I'm going to buy this one asset. You're in that situation. You can start thinking like, hey, well, now I've got everything covered and way more than I need. Let's start talking about educating others. You can give money, but the education, the knowledge is like something you can help with hundreds, thousands of people at a time instead of just giving cash. So obviously, it'd be great to give both, which is great. So Mike, as we kind of turn the corner and kind of round third and head home here, I'm always curious to ask our guests and my friends, and you and I have kind of cracked up about this, about the craziest deal we've ever done, right? or the craziest deal that ever came across our desk that we didn't do. So is there one that sticks out in your mind, a deal that just kind of threw you for a loop?
Oh yeah. And sometimes you don't see it coming or whatever, you know. So I've had a couple strange deals or whatever, but one, honestly, and maybe people just hear this and listen or whatever, right? Because I came from the whole residential, real estate world, right? 4 units and under and all that stuff. And, I had that system working pretty good. And then my very first apartment building, right? Nothing so ridiculous, but like a 17 unit apartment building, one I picked up for about $300,000 or so, and redid the whole thing, right? Put like 5 or whatever into it. I went on and did this using a crap load of my money, and what happened was I went on and went about some of the inspections the same way I would with a residential property, right? And I guess in that one who had prided himself on doing all the type of, asking all the right questions and due diligence or whatever like that, failed to find out some of the not so subtle differences between when you're doing a commercial type project and how those codes and things kind of change or whatever, right? The buzzword, I'll tell you, for all you guys listening, life safety, right? When you're doing real estate, residential real estate, you can make the finishes all pretty and it could be granite and a certain fixture here, whatever. But when you're doing commercial real estate and there's so many more lives and souls involved, they start using the term like life safety. And basically, to fast forward, I closed up some walls prematurely. Didn't realize what that meant. It meant I had to cut open the walls on 17 apartment units. And of course, now I was on the wrong side of the fire marshal and everybody. Exactly, man. I mean, and look, it cost me a crap load of money in a way of just equity, it in a way of just lost revenues and all sorts of stuff or whatever. And honestly, it made me also really dive in to understanding the importance of capital structure, man. Like I said, Josh, I love real estate, right? So this is a little free, little 2-minute educational thing for anybody who would just pay attention, guys, right? So if you're talking about putting deals together, right? And you're talking about that whole deal consisting of a triangle, right? So on this one side right here, there's a capital raise. There's a capital component of the triangle. On this side right here, there's the actual asset that you're identifying for it, right? So that's good. You got the asset. It's a great asset to invest in. And you've got the money and all that stuff to go on and do it, whatever. So be it. Here on the bottom, which serves as the foundation for that triangle, is the capital structure, right? And I remember when I presented this deal in one of our masterminds, and we were talking about it, and say, hey, Mike, is there anything that you might have done differently? And at the time, I'm like, nah, I'm good with it, man. I got all of the deal. What I learned is that if I had structured the capital differently, if I had brought in more of an equity partner, even if it meant giving away whatever part of the deal, I wouldn't have put myself in a situation, as you kind of remember, a little period I went through there, where my liquidity was challenged for a period of time. I was hands were tied as to maybe some moves that I couldn't make. And for someone who's used to just kind of moving and grooving and rocking, I found myself coming to a bit of a standstill and being bogged down. So I would say this: when you're looking at an asset and you're looking at, doing a deal, whatever, pay very attention and know how the capital structure of a deal goes together. And that can be in leverage, that can be in equity partners. There's a lot of ways you can carve things up or whatever. So again, that may be a conversation for a different time, but write it down, make a note of it. It's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to have enough liquidity to handle the mortgage payments, the cash flow, especially when you're redeveloping 17 units and none of them are occupied.
That's
trying
right.
to get them occupied, carrying the debt all the way through. You could do it with a secondary loan or a third loan, but make sure you borrow enough money to carry you through all that kind of dead period where there's no cash flow coming in, or equity partner to come in and put up that cash with enough extra to carry you through. So yeah, great advice. I appreciate that. And that leads me to my last question, which is, Looking back now, Mike, let's say, to your 20-something-year-old self, I think we all, now I'm 42 now, and when I look back, I think, I worked really hard in my 20s to build a financial planning practice, and I did really well with it. I was making six figures when I was 25 years old, but there's still a lot of things I would do differently. So when you think back, to your younger self, this could be 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or more, what's a piece of advice or two that you would give to your former self? Things that you might have done different, things that you might have done earlier, maybe in business, maybe in relationships, maybe in finance. It doesn't have to be even real estate related, but what's one or two things that you might go back and tell yourself, hey, son, just consider this as you get older?
Right. No doubt. I guess the biggest thing I would say is, and honestly, fortunately for me, Josh, I've done way more things right than not or whatever, right? I've spent the time and made the most of that time with my kids and was there for them and a role model and all of that. Just enjoyed that whole time because, that time goes by so quickly and you can't get, that kind of, time, whatever. So what I would say is this. One of the things that helped me the most was always choosing to invest in myself. Investing in myself as in gaining that knowledge, educating yourself, having that intellectual curiosity and thinking about you are here today and what your goals are is, the future, point A to point B, right? And so getting there, what is it that I need to do to get there the quickest, right? Shortest distance between 2 points, a straight line. And so if you take the time, filter out all of the NFL games on Sunday and the whatever basketball games going on in the fall and into the spring and all that kind of stuff, take that time to focus on you and what your plan is for the future. Your family goals, personal goals, financial goals, and have a plan for that. I would say that I probably wish that I would have just been a little bit more creative with coming up with a better financial plan earlier, because we know what happens with compound interest and other things. You start early, even if you're making fantastic decisions at age 45, it's almost impossible to catch up if you were making those same decisions at 25. So I would say just invest in yourself, as well as your children, because they're your legacy, right? Take a lot of time to generate that plan, and then make every good decision that you can to execute that plan. And if you do that, I think ultimately it would be close to impossible not to be successful personally, professionally, spiritually, you name it.
Yeah, fantastic, Mike. That's great advice. I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, that's a wrap for this particular interview. I want to just give you guys a couple of resources, give you an opportunity to connect with Mike as well. So first of all, Mike had mentioned, we funded through my private equity fund and my lending company, we funded a number of Mike's projects, from single family flips to new construction to apartments. If you need funding for your deals, you can always check out our website at freelandlending.com. We don't lend to everybody. We like to create deep, long-term relationships, which is what we've developed with Mike as one of our students, and now also one of our borrowers, one of our operators that we love to invest in. Mike's got a great track record, so Mike brings us a great deal. We're going to try to get that deal done. We'd love to have more operators that we believe in that we can fund. We don't want to fund 1,000 people twice. I'd rather fund 20 people 10 or 100 times over, right? But we want to do good deals. Check out freelandlending.com. Also, Mike is going to be one of our speakers. He's going to jump up on stage on some panels at the Flip and Fun Summit, which is coming up just in a couple of weeks. Flipandfun.com. Mike's at a lot of our live events as a student, as a mastermind member, and takes the stage with me from time to time to give advice and give back to our community at Strategic Real Estate Coach. So check out flipandfun.com for tickets to our next event. Also, if you're in the New Orleans area or looking for a great operator to partner with or joint venture with, even if you're not New Orleans, but you just want a stand-up guy to JV with or share ideas with, maybe you're looking for some advice, definitely encourage you to connect directly with Mike. So, Mike, if people wanted to reach out to you, touch base with you, like, do you have a website or an email or something they can reach out and touch base with you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give. I'll provide my email address. My primary website is more for my portfolio side and tenants and all that kind of stuff. But a good email address for me is M, like it's in my first name, last name Johnston, JOHNSTON dot R2H, the number 2, right, at gmail.com. So that's M Johnston .R2H at gmail.com. And guys, reach out to me. And like I said, I'm, not all the time able to respond right away, but, definitely if I'm in a position to offer some advice or advise or whatever, man, hey, look, at some point in time, you do for people what you can or whatever, and and that good deed, does not go, unnoticed.
Absolutely. So, absolutely, guys. And also, if you enjoyed this interview with Mike or you've got questions, comments, if you find this on YouTube or you find this on iTunes or on our blog, leave us comments, questions. If you've enjoyed the interview, leave us a rating, 5-star rating, a review, leave that for us. If you got specific questions for Mike, you can leave them on those pages, and my team will go to those platforms, pull the question down. We'll try to run Mike down when he's got a free minute, and we'll get an answer for Mike, and we'll put it back on that platform. And Mike, Mike started with us in a coaching program. If you're still thinking you need some mentorship to take your business to the next level, you can always apply for our coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com. So, Mike, just want to say thanks, bud. It's always a good time spending time with you. We're going to see you in a couple weeks at the Flip and Fun Summit 10. Just thanks for carving out a few minutes for us today. We appreciate it.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, Josh. Always, man, pleasure and everything. Like I said, man, we're in it together, man. And, personally that relationships, really do matter, a lot to me. So anytime, man.
Hey, you got it, man. Like Joe Nemeth, my good friend Joe, says, we all do better when we do deals together. And so Mike's a great example of that. And we appreciate you being on, guys. And we'll catch you on the next episode of Strategic Real Estate Coach Podcast, or in YouTube. Come and visit us, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Good deal. All right, brother.